Okay, now I turn to my colleague Ravina from the Office of the High Commissioner for Human Rights, who has an update on the insecurity situation in Haiti and the situation there overall. Ravina.
Thanks, Rolando. Another very difficult, very dire situation, and another very neglected situation as well, I'm afraid. Tackling insecurity in Haiti, where hundreds have been killed, injured, or displaced as a result of gang violence, has to be an utmost priority. Latest figures documented by the UN Human Rights Office indicate that at least 3,661 people have been killed since January this year in Haiti, maintaining the high levels of violence seen in 2023. No more lives should be lost to this senseless criminality. We welcome recent positive steps, such as the establishment of a transitional presidential council, the new transitional government, and the deployment of the first contingents of the multinational security support mission. It is clear, however, that the mission needs adequate and sufficient equipment and personnel to counter the criminal gangs effectively and sustainably, and to stop these gangs from spreading further and wreaking havoc on people's lives. Our report details extremely serious patterns of human rights violations and abuses taking place across the capital of Port-au-Prince and in the Artibonite department, as well as in the southern part of the West department, which until recently had been largely unaffected by the violence. The number of victims of sexual violence, including rape, also increased in the first half of the year. According to the report, gangs have continued to use sexual violence to punish, spread fear, and to subjugate populations. During the reporting period from January to June this year, at least 860 people were also killed and 393 injured during police operations and patrols across Port-au-Prince, including at least 36 children, in what could constitute use of unnecessary and disproportionate force. On the impact on children, the gangs have also recruited large numbers of children into their ranks. In Artibonite, which is the country's agricultural heartland, increasing gang violence and extortion have forced farmers to abandon more than 3,000 hectares of land, further imperiling Haiti's food production. And this at a time when an estimated 1.6 million people in the country face emergency-level acute food insecurity. The UN High Commissioner for Human Rights urges the Haitian authorities to take robust steps to strengthen the police and other state institutions crippled by endemic corruption, including the judiciary, if the rule of law is to be restored and those responsible for violations and abuses held to account. We also call on the authorities to redouble efforts to protect children from gangs, to tackle gender and sexual violence, and to protect internally displaced people. We urge the international community to comprehensively implement the targeted arms embargo, the travel ban, and asset freeze imposed by the UN Security Council to stem gang violence in Haiti.
Thank you very much, Ravina. And maybe just to add that in consulting some of our latest figures, we note that nearly half of the Haitian population, that is 5.5 million people, are in need of humanitarian aid, and many of them are women and children. So this is indeed a very dire situation. So thank you very much for your briefing. Do we have questions for Ravina? Yes, Agnes from AFP.
Yes, thank you. Yesterday, the Haitian leader said that is looking for transforming or turning the multinational policing operation, into a peacekeeping operation. I was wondering if you think that would be a better way to protect the civilian population facing all these human rights violations. Thank you.
Thanks, Agnes. Yes, indeed, I'm aware of those reports. What our immediate concern is that any force that is there, so currently the multinational security support mission needs to be adequately and sufficiently resourced with the equipment that they need to be able to do their jobs properly, as well as the numbers, in sheer numbers of people. What we are currently seeing is that they are very inadequately funded and inadequately resourced. So that should be the priority.
Thank you very much. Yes, please, sir. Third row.
Oui, alors, pourquoi ça traîne autant le déploiement de la masse? Oui. Quand est-ce que il devrait être prêt? Quand est-ce qu'ils vont commencer à vraiment faire quelque chose?
Thank you for that question. Indeed, this is why the UN High Commissioner for Human Rights is urging the international community to make this an utmost priority. Unfortunately, with the proliferation of crises and conflicts in the world, sometimes the situation in Haiti is neglected. But as I said, more than 3,600 people have been killed so far this year, and this maintains the high levels of killings and violence, extortion, kidnapping, sexual violence that has been carried out over many years now in Haiti, exacerbated also by the humanitarian situation, by gangs that are blocking off key arteries that prevent resources, essential resources, food, water, fuel, from reaching the people who need to reach it. We are raising the alarm. Illicit flows of arms are continuing to go into Haiti, in spite of Security Council resolutions calling for these to be stemmed. Humanitarian appeals are chronically underfunded as well. So we are raising the alarm here and saying that the situation in Haiti needs to be an urgent priority ahead of the UN Security Council meeting next week on this.
Yeah, indeed. My goodness. Just to remind you, indeed, that the Security Council is taking this up, and we expect a decision maybe before but next week at this point. And of course, it's imperative that the Haitian National Police be provided with the resources they need, including equipment, donor coordination, training provided to the HNP is also of paramount importance. So these are the issues that are being discussed in New York. Yeah, Jamie, go ahead.
Hi, Ravina. Shouldn't it just be a matter of course that the Human Rights Office would support the idea of a peacekeeping mission? I mean, from a human rights perspective, one would think that. I mean, I know it's not your decision whether or not to deploy a PKO, but from a sort of basic level, wouldn't you support that? And could you also comment, if I understand correctly, President Ruto, while in New York, mentioned that he's planning on augmenting the number of Kenyan forces that are going to be sent to Haiti. So could you please address each of those, please? Thanks.
Thanks, Jamie. No, as you pointed out, it wouldn't be our decision whether a peacekeeping mission is deployed or not. That would be a matter for the Security Council. What is crucial for us is that any force that is deployed is adequately resourced, adequately funded. They have both sufficient and adequate equipment to respond to the crisis that's happening, bearing in mind the geographic, realities of Haiti, bearing in mind the strongholds where the gangs have them. And of course, also what is crucial is that the international community takes action to stem the weapons flow into Haiti. That is continuing, and that needs to be stemmed immediately. I have forgotten your second question. Yes, of course. No, we would support any augmentation of the MSS, of the Multinational Security Force. Absolutely, we would encourage further resourcing of this force.
Thank you very much. We do have a question for you, Ravina, from Lisa. Go ahead.
Hi, Ravina. I don't know how to qualify my question, maybe naive or whatever it is, but it appears that the government is toothless and not in the position to be able to protect the people of Haiti. I was wondering, what is the ultimate goal of the gangs? Is it to take over the government? I'm kind of wondering whether there is a chief bandit who is in charge of most of these gangs. And can they just keep on raping, pillaging, extorting, whatever it is, horrible things they do? And this keeps on without any stop? It could conceivably one of them take over the government. That's a question.
What we understand, Lisa, I mean, of course, the intent of these gangs, you will have to ask the gangs, but what we understand based on their modus operandi and what they've been doing is they're trying to maximize territorial gain as well as financial gain. So through all sorts of illicit methods of getting money, extortion from people, charging shopkeepers so that they will not attack them, so that their shops will be protected. Charging people for crossing checkpoints, kidnapping people and charging high ransoms, illicit financial flows, illicit arms flows, and taking control of territory. This is what's happening, and they're doing everything that they can to maintain this control, including raping women, raping children, killing people that they perceive of opposing them, killing people that they perceive of being affiliated with rival gangs, of being affiliated with the police, wanton violence. And as I said, they're also controlling access roads so that people cannot access food, water, electricity, fuel. Hospitals are having to operate using generators as opposed to electricity to carry out essential functions. The designated expert of the High Commissioner was in Haiti recently, William O'Neill, and I spoke to him, and he said he spoke to a girl who hadn't eaten in 2 days. He spoke to a woman who has diabetes but has no access to insulin. These are basic things. You shouldn't have to die of diabetes simply because you don't have access to insulin. But this is what's going on in Haiti right now. And this is why, in spite of the proliferation of crises around the world, we need to raise the alarm. We need to draw the attention back to Haiti.
Absolutely. Lisa, is that a follow-up question? Go ahead.
Yes, a quick follow-up, Ravina. Who is furnishing these gangs with the arms? How can that be stopped? They are not a country, so you can't put sanctions on them. But yeah, what can be done? And who is giving them the arms? Thank you.
So the weapons and ammunition have continued to flow into the country, primarily from the United States, but also from the Dominican Republic and Jamaica.
Thanks very much. And of course, this is indeed unprecedented levels of lawlessness and brutality, which we're hearing about in Haiti. So thank you very much. Okay, we do have one last question, maybe from Agnes from AFP. Oh, sorry, we have another question afterwards. So AFP, then you, sir.
Yes, this is just a quick follow-up to the answer you just gave to Lisa on the weapons coming from United States and the other two countries. Could you specify if it's you are talking about the country, about state companies, or about private companies? Thank you.
Thanks for the question, Agnes. I am going to refer you to the report as well. Now, if you go to paragraphs 47 and 48 of the report that you've received, there's more detail on this. In fact, there's further detail in a UNODC report, which has really, gotten into substantial detail about where these arms are coming from and how they're coming in, what needs to be done to stem this. So, for example, the UNODC says that firearms and ammunitions have continued to enter Haiti through poorly monitored airspaces, unpatrolled coastlines, and porous borders. And of course, the gangs exploit those gaps, and they obtain high-caliber weapons, drones, boats, and a seemingly endless supply of bullets. Similarly, drug trafficking has also continued unabated, often using the country's many clandestine airstrips.
Thank you very much, sir.
Oui, alors les États-Unis et le Canada ont bloqué les comptes, enlevé les visas d'une multitude de personnalités haïtiennes. Quel est l'effet que ça a eu jusqu'à maintenant et quel effet vous espérez en obtenir?
Sorry about that. Some countries have already been taking measures, and of course there have already been Security Council resolutions on this. What is still lacking is implementation. So we are saying that there need to continue to be urgent and stricter measures taken to prevent the direct or illicit supply, sale, diversion, or transfer to Haiti of weapons, but also to keep updating the list of individuals and entities who are subject to the Security Council sanctions regime for engaging in directly or indirectly or supporting criminal activities contrary to international human rights law. So the implementation of these travel bans, asset freezes, and other sanctions on targeted individuals needs to be strengthened.
Thank you so very much, Ravina. Further questions on Haiti? No, it's not the case. So thank you once again, as always, for joining us here, Ravina.